Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I am not using it. Get Balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA AM 1050 FM 106.5 NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio station, the station that leaves no listener behind. 25 years strong, home to the Asian Oprah, and also streaming everywhere: iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Spreaker, Streaker, you name it, I'm there. I am Dr. Marissa, your hashtag positively opinionated host. And it is my pleasure to bring you topics that balance out all the bad news out there and good people who balance out all the bad people. And present company included. You'll know it's Wednesday because you see my co-host on Doctors in the House with myself and
Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
Welcome back to the studio. Let's see if I can't get some applause going here. Always good to see you, Dr. Tiffanie. Actually, I got to see Dr. Tiffanie in person. I was coming back from speaking at a conference in Palm Desert, and I thought, I think she lives out here. And I love when we get to unplanned for hashtag accidental, not accidental meetup, and took a great little clip and video that I haven't been able to post. Let's start with breakfast. Otherwise, I'm going to go on a rant here. Breakfast is my morning hashtag Blisscipline that I do with y'all for the past almost 2 years now, where we take a bite of our gratitude sandwich. 8 things that we're grateful for outside of ourselves on top of the bun. And then 8 things that we do before we go to bed to appreciate ourselves so we can get a good night's sleep. So I will start. I am grateful that after a 4-day suspension that I still really don't understand why I got banned from Instagram. The good news is it just got reinstated. So I'm back. It was a good exercise in how much work I actually do for Instagram that I didn't have to do for 3 or 4 days. Go figure. They definitely have us trapped, but I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying I have an awareness now of how smart they are to get us to do all this content work without pay. And then when we're banned, we go through withdrawal. So if you're wondering why I haven't been on, that's why. And Colt always invites me to his lives. I hope he doesn't think that I'm ignoring him. Colt Reed, we'll check up with you later. But what are you grateful for, Dr. Tiffanie?
I am grateful because I had a very successful trip to New Jersey with my children, and I was able to find a wonderful apartment for Nathaniel for when he starts his doctoral program at Rutgers University. So very thankful for that.
Fantastic. Which apartment did you end up going with?
We ended up going with a very safe apartment called the George.
Oh, nice. That's not the one you were looking at when we talked.
No. I was thinking about the one that had the basement in it, but then we saw a deer, and I don't think he was ready to drive with animals running across the freeway.
Oh, oh dear. Oh
Yeah.
dear, literally.
Nice.
I'm grateful that I'm getting packed. I got new luggage, going to China. Going to San Francisco first, spend the night with my son, and then off to lecture in China at 2 universities, and then just confirm the dinner that I get to be the spotlight speaker at the Beijing Women's Network. So if you're in China, you never know. Apparently, I have a fan base there that I didn't even know that joined me in Beijing and Shanghai for the book fair and then also to speak. So just contact me if you know anybody there that wants to come. Last gratitude.
And I'm also grateful because the manager also had children, and I offered her my books, Little Engine Mia, because she was so sweet. I offered her autographed copies of my books, Little Engine Mia, Bad Touching, and one book for her, My Fluidry, 108 Poetic Flows of Life, Love, and Liturgical Issues. And she said, oh, I want to start a book club for female authors, and I would love for you to come back and be a speaker there. And so that kind of leads into our topic for today.
Absolutely. We're just self-promotion, but we're not done our breakfast. So the bottom of the bun on breakfast is, what do you like about yourself? What do you appreciate? Instead of criticizing yourself, I'm my own worst critic. If I get 99 compliments, and one insult, I focus on the insult. This is a phenomena that all human beings seem to have, no matter where they are around the world. And I speak to that. It's the dis-ease of perfectionism. And how do we treat that? We anchor what is good about ourselves so we can self-care, self-love, self-soothe. And then we're not reaching for things outside of ourselves to make us feel better, especially approval from others, walking around with antenna. How many likes am I getting? I got 0 likes over 4 days, which is good because I wasn't on. And I know that I am more than the number of likes that I am, which is why I don't focus on likes. So I appreciate that I continue to, there's an echo there. I continue to have the hashtag Blisscipline. I was running a little late this morning because I was talking to a client and wasn't watching. I did 45 minutes on the bike instead of 30, 35, 40, and then did the pool. So I appreciate my ability to continue the every other day workout that I've been doing for 3 years and keeping my body healthy.
And I appreciate the fact that I am able to put into action some of the things that we talk about because I was able to accept a compliment without trying to justify anything. And when we were in New Jersey, we were having lunch with one of the professors, and the waitress said, oh, you have such lovely skin. And when I was growing up, I had such terrible acne. So it was something that was I guess a sensitive subject for me. And so to receive a compliment, and I had no makeup on or anything like that, I was very flattered to receive that compliment. And I didn't go into, oh, well, this is the product that I use and this and this and that. I just said, thank you, and said it quietly.
Yay! I think that deserves some applause because that's a huge thing to accept compliments. I think women in particular, men have less of a problem with that, not male bashing. I wish we would have a guy day and learn stuff like that. But good for you, Dr. Tiffany. I think that's amazing. Yay. All right. And that's it for breakfast this morning. Doing a little abbreviated version so that we can get to the topic at hand. But I would like you tonight, before you go to bed, do 8. 8's a lucky number in Chinese. I know you thought I was Swedish, but it's a homophone for good fortune. So that's why I'm stuck on 8s. All right. I promise you, if you do this good life habit for the next 28 consecutive days, you will sandwich your day in the most positive way. Thanks for joining us for breakfast. All right, and Dr. Tiffany, what is the topic for today?
So today's topic is basically how to properly promote yourself without sounding like a narcissist. Because a lot of times we want to talk about ourselves in a positive way and we want to sell ourselves. And a lot of times people are like, well, gee, there they go talking about themselves. And we get self-conscious about talking about ourselves or promoting ourselves. But there is a proper way and a proper platform to do that. And so I figured I'm a writer, Dr. Marissa is a writer, and we have a lot of graduates out there who are needing to go out there and sell themselves. And even if you're not a graduate, maybe you are in a job that you're tired at and you want to make a change and or you want to seek a promotion. Well, how is it that you should reach that next level and make that pivot and promote yourself, talk about yourself, and elevate your game? So I figured this would be a time to talk about some tools and things that you can use to help you out.
Fantastic. All right. I'll start with the realness. You know how I like to put the moose on the table. Where's my moose? This is talking about the elephant in the room. And I will go to the first time that I was shamed and humiliated when I think on Monday I had told you that on my mental health matters Monday about the story about how I became a grief expert, spending the day in the library of the worst massacre in Orange County history with the Seal Beach Salon shootings.
Mhm.
And after I wrote the article that I just sent, not knowing what was going to happen to it, knowing it would change my world, it ended up on the front page of Orange County Register. And one of the comments that I got was, "Who do you think you are?" And it was a older white woman in the community, and I had never been openly, personally attacked like that. That was my very first experience. So in a way, I'm fortunate because some people get it from an early age. Well, I've been teased, but not for my writing or expertise or whatever. And I called my big brother and was like, Michael Bernard Beckwith, and his response was, "Welcome to the big leagues." And it was just like, what? And it was a great first learning that the more I step out, the more open I'm going to be for target practice. That is just the law of stepping out. And so I had to be comfortable with a couple of facts. One is you can be the best thing in the world of something, but unless you know how to share that, you will be under the bushel. You will not have any exposure. People won't know. So that's why I have a program called Be the Best That You Can Be and broadcast it, right? And two, women and women of color in particular are not encouraged to self-promote. Boys, you can toot your own horn and it's kind of like attaboy. For many women that, and many Chinese women, there's an actual saying in Chinese and Japanese, I've told you this before, the nail that stands up is hammered down. So very little motivation to promote yourself. So those are two of my real stories that I like to share in the first half of the show, keeping it real. So I see some eyeballs coming in. Welcome to Take My Advice. I'm not using a gift bells with Dr. Marissa and
Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
It is Doctors in the House. And our topic today is
properly promoting yourself without coming off sounding like a narcissist. I think that's very important. And I think when you want to promote yourself, I think you need to recognize that you have something that other people don't have. And you want to portray it in a way that makes you unique and that makes you stand out above the crowd. And I remember when I was calling for interviews, and I had her sit down and do a practice interview. Um, and I think that it's important to do things like that. I would say for me, when I was preparing to go to medical school, I think I was trying to figure out, okay, what is going to make me stick out and make them want to select me as opposed to other students, because everybody is smart. Everybody has done well in math and science when you are applying for medical school. That's just the reality of it. Everybody has usually graduated, cum laude, summa cum laude. Everybody has graduated with honors. Everybody has been in the top of their class from undergrad. That's just usually the reality. Everybody has graduated with great MCAT scores. And so you have to try to figure out what is going to make you better than the other person. And so then you have to start looking amongst yourself to say, okay, how can I make myself stand out? What makes me better than the next person? And that takes a lot of self reflection. And as for me, I had to say, okay, what have I done within myself? And I did a lot of volunteering, and I'm a compassionate person. So I had to think about the adjectives that described me and the verbs, my actions that I would use. And so I can't say what is applicable to you. Only you know what's applicable to you. And I think that that's important. And we have to be confident without being arrogant. And that's the key.
And that's tricky, right?
Mhm.
To talk about what you're good at without um, coming off as a what's that word? Braggadosh or braggadote or something like. Thank you.
Braggadocious.
Bubblicious and superlicious and Fergie. Yeah. The how do you do that? Well, the first, I think, step is being comfortable and self assured with who you are in this world as an individual. I believe that that is the very first step. That if you define yourself as good because someone told you this is what you're good at, or someone praised you, or someone complimented you, that's kind of a tricky sand base, not solid, because if they're mad at you, they're going to take it back, or they might not always think that. And you may be something to somebody, but not to someone else. So, one of the exercises I do when I do happiness coaching is, who are you at the core of who you are? And
Mhm.
when you come into an awareness and an acceptance and a reality of, this is what I'm good at and this is what I'm not good at, and 80% is positive and 20% is not, that's my formula of knowing who you are, and keeps you knowing and solid that, I'm a caring person. Now, I just yelled at someone. That was not my 80%. That was my 20%, or if I'm overachieving, my 12%, 88%. 88% of the time I'm caring. 12% of the time, if I've had a tough day, not enough sleep, things coming at me, I'm going to lose my temper. And that's my 12%. But to say that I'm not caring, right, that's bullshit talky. I know that I'm a caring person. And if someone criticizes me, it's like, okay, yeah, you're right. Right now, I'm not acting like I'm caring, but I know, and you don't have to say this to their face, but I know in my innermost self, that's who I am. So the first step in self promotion is being real about that you're not perfect, but that you're pretty good. Because, I used to live on that swing. I'm a piece of shiitake and I'm a piece of shiitake, and I'm constantly criticizing myself, and nothing was ever good enough. And I was only as good as my last win or whatever I won, and that was really, really a horrible place to live 80% of the time. And then I think I was better than you, and I think I was hot shiitake, and I'd go from hot shiitake to piece of shiitake and hot shiitake to piece of shiitake, and it was exhausting. So the work that I encourage people to do, as well as do for myself most of the time, is I'm 88% fabulous. I know the things that I'm good at, and I know what I'm not good at, and I'm working on those.
And it can
Um,
be an intense roller coaster, because sometimes when you're on that roller coaster and you're down low, you can begin to sell yourself short. And when you're on that slippery slope and you fall down and you start to sell yourself short, you can end up stuck down there and in a rut. And when you're down there, it's hard to climb out, because you don't want to take the risk. You don't want to take change. You don't want to make the change necessary to reach that next level. And I think it's important to reevaluate yourself, reevaluate your goals, and look at your life and say, okay, what is it that I want? What is it that I can do? And what type of changes do I want to make? And a lot of times it can get hard. And I know that when life comes at you fast and it feels like it's just sitting on your head, breaking wind, and things aren't smelling quite right, you want things to turn around. And it gets hard. It gets really hard. But sometimes there's nobody there to pull you out but you. And you just have to reevaluate things and look within yourself and look within your circle and talk to somebody and figure out, okay, I can do this one step at a time. And I always say, inch by inch, everything is a cinch. And as long as there's a tomorrow, things
Mhm.
can get better.
That's
And
great.
so, mhm,
That's great. Absolutely. It's a skill. I believe it's a skill to be able to be your number one fan. A lot of us depend on other people to be our biggest fan. And what happens when those people go back into love? If they die or if they get mad at you, that's again one of those non-solid bases to which to stand on. So if you are able to know and be happy with yourself 88% of the time. Dr. Tiffany gave a great example when someone complimented her. When people compliment a lot of women, nice earrings. Oh, I got it at the 99-cent store. Or nice hair. Oh, I didn't even wash it this morning. Or a cultural difference. If you ask a Chinese carpenter, do you do good work? His culture says, oh, no, 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 just average, right? You want to hire? No. So to understand that it is up to you, boo, first and foremost, to be able to go, yeah. And the extreme on that, when I was in Morocco, I saw this woman. She was beautiful, walking with her friends, and I stopped and went by, smiled, and I actually said to her, you are beautiful. And she
mhm,
looked at me and said, thank you, I am.
mhm,
And I was like, whoa, that was pretty bold. And then the more I thought about it, it's like, wow, why is that not a good thing? To own your beauty, to
mhm.
be happy, to appreciate. We don't grow up like that. You're not supposed to do that. And as a result of that, we're always looking for someone else to approve of us.
Or discount it, or discount the approval.
I
And
know
that's
you have some research there, so go
yeah.
for it.
Okay, perfect. As always, yes. So I looked up some different things, some different points,
Mhm.
and I have a few here. So there are some steps to, how to properly sell yourself. We've already kind of covered them. Be confident. Let's just call it, say it is what it is. Be persistent. We're not done with any of, any cliches or anything. Always be persistent, never give up. And don't be boring. Always try to keep it spicy. Use great adjectives when describing yourselves. And when you're trying to move to the next level, when people ask you questions about things, offer solutions when you're trying to sell yourselves. You want to always try to take it to the next level, because that's going to distinguish you from the next person. You want to let people know that you can improve things, you can improve the situation. And when you're building your resume, you want to make it look professional. You want to make it look better than the next person. And you want to work on your nonverbal cues, make eye contact, sit up, and always stay positive. And like, how do you sell yourself confidently? So I figured I'd do a little mock interview, and a mock commercial. So so this is going to be my little mock commercial. I'm going to do it in try to do it in less than 1 minute. So here I go. Ready? And beep. Hi, my name is Dr. Tiffanie Tate, and I am an author. This is my book, Little Engine Mia Sings. It's a rhythmic story on bullying. This is my book, Bad Touching. This is a rhythmic story to teach children about predators. And this is my book, Floetry, 108 Poetic Flows on Life, Love, and Liturgical Issues. And I have an upcoming book called Money Matters. It is also a rhythmic story that teaches children about tithing and investments. You can get all these books on Amazon as well as Barnes & Noble. Get them today. Beep. So that's just my little, quick little.
That was great. I asked you actually to put a commercial together. I'm glad you did that. We'll have to do it one more time when I'm ready, so that you're the only one on camera. But you'd never know about all of those if she didn't talk about them, if she didn't introduce them. And yet personally, I don't like being sold. Personally, I hate selling myself. People are shocked when they hear that, because they say, oh, but you do it so well. And the reality is, what helped me is, you're not selling, you're sharing. And if you choose to believe, and I do, that every single one of us, 8 billion on the planet, have unique skills, talents, and abilities that we're here on earth to share. So you got to swallow that one first. You got to drink that Kool-Aid first. Because if you don't believe that, and you think we're just here in a rat race trying to get on top and shove everybody else down, and it's a fixed pie, and if I'm talented, that means you're not, or there's only a certain group of people who are meant to be seen and heard or have talents to share, that's bullshit talkie too. So the first Kool-Aid to drink is, do you believe that we all on the planet are here to express and share unique talents, gifts, and abilities, that we're all one of a kind, wonderful? And I will hold that for you until you can believe it for yourself, because as you can see, Dr. Tiffanie has unique gifts as a writer and an author and a children's book author, beyond what she went to school for, to be a doctor, an MD doctor. So, and she didn't have a choice, kind of, because she wasn't able to do what she went and spent a lot of years training to do. But instead of, I'm not, my life is over because I can't do what I trained to do, she pivoted and looked at, what do I like to do? What do I want to do? What can I develop a belief system in, knowing that I can do anything? And that's your advanced sip of Kool-Aid with ice in it, to say, we can do more than one thing. And what is it that we're good at? And the only way to find out what you're good at is to fall on your face on things that you're not good at. And then you move on and you do something good. But don't let the BS belief system that we grow up with in America. You can only do one thing. You have to have one thing to focus on. You can't focus on more than one thing. And if you get fired from that, oh, well, you're not really as good as you thought you were. That's all BS. It's belief systems that keep us unhappy and thinking that we're not good enough. But
Mm.
we just try different things. Wouldn't it be amazing if high school wasn't like, so what do you major? Where are you going to go to school? What are your AP classes? Da, da, da. Wouldn't it be great if high school was a place for young preteens and teens to experiment and to understand what they're naturally good at, how to hone it, and
Mhm.
have a class in how to promote it, how to
Mhm.
bill for it, nobody talks about money, how much you should charge. Nobody talks about that in school.
Mhm.
I got a PhD. We didn't have a class on, setting up your shingle and how to,
Yeah.
what's
They
the
don't
going
talk.
rate. Yeah, we don't talk about that. Sorry, that was my soapbox.
No, absolutely. And it would be great for even in junior high. Hey, what's your passion? What is your interest? What do you like? No one ever asks, even in elementary school, no one ever asks children, what is it that you like? Everything is about competition. And I think it's great for us to recognize the best and the cream of the crop and the student of the month, because I get it. We want students to do well, and we want to encourage them, and we want to recognize them. But I think that our system could be better. And I know this is probably veering left from our topic, but I really do believe that there is a better way to encourage, and there is a better way to improve and to educate. Um, but I really believe that when it comes to promoting yourself, that you really do need to speak up and speak out, and know that if you follow your passion, you're going to do better, and it's never going to feel like work. Sometimes
Mhm.
you may get tired, and that's okay. But you will elevate your game per se. And I believe that Denzel Washington had an interview, and they asked him what was his best movie, because he's won all of these Academy Awards and things like this. And they're like, "Oh, well, what's your best movie?" And his response was, "My next movie," because it's
Mm.
he always believes that better is to come. And I believe that we should all look at our lives that way. Yes, I thought that, what I've done in school was great. Becoming a physician was great. And when, becoming a surgeon was great. And when that was taken away from me because of my medical condition, not being able to use my right wrist, I was devastated. And I did feel as if my life was over. And then I began to write. And so my life took a hard left. And it was like, oh, okay, I see you, Lord. You have a different plan for me. And so as I began to write, I'm like, okay, this is a new chapter of my life. And so it's like plot twist. And as I've moved on, I believe other people can do this too. And as you sell yourself and you speak up about what's going on in your life, you want to talk about yourself, but you don't want to get on a constant narration. You want it to be an interactive dialogue saying, okay, this is what I have to offer. Like when I was talking with the manager at the apartment, she was just so sweet, so nice, and she mentioned that she had children. So when we went back to pay the deposit, I said, "Okay, I want to gift this book to you and this book to your children." And that's when she was like, "Oh, okay, I would love to have you come back and be a speaker." And had I not just reached out with this olive branch, it would not have taken off. So now I have a connection in New Jersey and a speaking platform in New Jersey, but I had to take one step.
Yeah. You had to overcome the discomfort of
Mhm.
sharing something that you have done as an accomplishment and are sharing. And y- y- uh, saying this is what I've done. But
Mhm.
that is, for so many, I've got so many ways I want to go with this because it's so close to my heart, because I really have been so beat up by people behind my back, in front of my back, and just a constant barrage of you. You're a show off. You're such a self promoter. You should be ashamed of yourself, and, you should be right sized and put you in your place. And don't, I mean, it's been really, if I told you some of the, I haven't even like scratched the surface
You know
of,
what, Dr. Marissa? I would tell you this. If you don't promote yourself, who is going to do it for you?
Mhm. Yeah,
And I would respond to them with that. If I don't promote me, who's going to do it for me?
I would
And
be happy for them to promote me. But,
yeah,
but I say that to the finish of that, which is the finish is, it's very funny that these same people who 8 years ago criticized me on a phone call behind my back, and I write about this, are the same people that this year came to me and asked me to help promote them or their organization. I thought, oh, my God has a great sense of humor. My UPS man, my universal power source, he delivers irony every day, which I'm grateful for. But let me actually add to that statement. If I don't promote myself, who is going to? Absolutely. And one of the things, and I touched on this last week, one of the things that women don't do well is promote each other.
mhm,
Men do a better job. Women, for some reason, whether it's like, oh, look at her. But if you can ask someone, like, you would say, hey, Dr. Marissa, would you have? And say, I just wrote a new book and da 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 da. And instead of me sharing it or me talking about it, would you talk about it for me? And I did this actually. I'm doing a book signing this Saturday night in Long Beach. For anybody that's out there, I didn't ask Dr. Tiffany to do this, but there was an occasion where I wasn't going to be there, and these are people that would be interested in going. So I asked a friend of mine, while I'm not there, could you announce it and just say Dr. Marissa's having a book signing at Easy Does It Bookstore on Broadway in Long Beach at 7:30 this Saturday. She'll be doing a book reading and a signing. 7:30. Love to see you there. Okay. And instead of me self-promoting, it is a strategy if you can ask friends who are your supporters. And I knew he was my supporter because apparently he plays my podcast like all the time while he's driving. So anybody that he picks up to drive also gets to hear my podcast. God bless him. Thank you, Mike. But that's a strategy. If you're uncomfortable, and even if you're comfortable, sometimes it's better if you don't constantly talk about yourself. And I've
mhm.
learned that as well. So you don't want to always be, oh, I do this, I do that, I do this. And even though I do them, if I keep talking about I do this, I end up in doo-doo, because nobody wants to hear all of the things that I do, because I do a lot. But I have had to uh just limit myself to, okay, right now. And then I get my reward, because when I play the piano or something, they'll be like, oh, you play the piano? And it's a nice feeling, instead of, oh, she does everything. No, that reaction you want to avoid.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that it's important to make sure you have a dialogue, because when you're talking to people, you want to hear about them. And depending on the platform that you're at, if you're speaking in public and you're the speaker, then of course they came to hear you speak. But if you're sitting down having an intimate conversation, it's a dialogue. I know
Mm.
that with me, a lot of times people have to pull the information out of me. I'm more skeptical, and me being from Compton, I'm like, okay, what do you want from me? I'm usually not very forthcoming about anything. And like I said, I didn't give her my books until after we went back. I didn't even tell her I was a doctor. I don't tell anything. I'm like, hi, I'm Tiffany. I barely give you my last name. I don't say anything. I'm not giving up any goods. I'm very skeptical, and I think I've
Mhm.
passed on my skepticism to Mia. So I don't trust anybody. So I'm very hard to self promote. You have to warm up. You have to warm me up. You have to rev me up like an.
Mhm.
So this was good for me to read because I do need to do better at self promoting.
Mhm.
And so, yeah.
Yeah.
But there were some things that I looked up about things to
Mhm.
avoid when
Okay.
self-promoting. So some common practices and behaviors that you need to avoid underselling yourself. Make sure you don't use any negative qualifying statements. Make sure you're not being passive in the conversation. Make sure you don't hide your achievements. Ding ding, I've been bad at that. I'm guilty. And make sure you don't fail to communicate your ambitions. Make sure you don't seek out work beneath your qualifications, and make sure you try to speak out with confidence and accuracy, and make sure you accept compliments. So you want to make sure you're good at that. Um, and if you do end up doing that, there are ways that you can turn it around. And so you want to get clear on your strengths, ask for feedback from people you trust, pinpoint your relevant accomplishments, begin speaking your new truths out loud, and develop positive self talk habits. So there's still hope for me.
Mm. Oh, yes, for sure. The commercial that you did, I think it's important that everybody, no matter what you're doing, even if you're working for someone else's in a company, there still is value to introducing yourself in a way that is more meaningful than, hi, my name is Tiffany. Hi, my name is
Mhm,
Marissa or Dr. Marissa. Um, because you just never know, right?
mhm,
So I know for myself, if I introduce myself as, hi, I'm Marissa, right? And then I never see them again. In the elevator, I've actually said, hi, I'm Dr. Marissa, and I have a show on NBC News Radio about hope and happiness. And when I say that, I had one woman who contacted me after remembering Dr. Marissa, Googled it, contacted me and said, thank you for introducing yourself. That's exactly, I'm in such a dark place. And I just needed a reminder that I'm not alone. And there are resources and people out there who
mhm,
are here to help. And it was just like one of those OMG, right? That
mhm,
is it could be seen as self promotion, of course, but for that woman, and who knows, you know, everybody here on the planet is good at something by the very fact if they've gone through something, if you've gone through cancer, if you've gone through someone committing suicide on you, if you've gone through childhood trauma, if you've gone through whatever it is, it automatically makes you good at helping people who have are going through that now at the very least, right? That the
mhm.
tragedies that happen to you give you the growing ground to be of service and to be of help to others who are currently going through that pain. So, and then you have the option of being good at whatever you choose to be good at, languages, music, art, science. There's so much out there that you can learn to be good at.
Mhm.
And then you can talk about it.
Absolutely. And I think that when you do give the quick elevator spill, you make a lot of connections. And I have found that when I do introduce myself as Dr. Tiffany Tate, I do end up making more connections. And it takes more effort and more work, and that's probably why I don't do it. because I'm guilty of that. I'm like, oh my goodness, then I have to exchange numbers and they want my information. Sometimes I have the energy and the effort to put forth that. And sometimes I just don't want to be bothered because I'm guilty of that. And I know I need to be better at doing that. And I do need to sell myself more. And I think that's why I needed to do this
Share
show.
myself.
Yes,
Share myself
I
more,
need to
not
share
sell
myself.
myself.
Yes,
Yeah.
I need
I
to
think
properly
it's so important.
promote. I need to properly promote myself because this information, um, that I have in my books is to make people's lives better 88% of the time. People need to know about bullying. People need to know about protecting themselves and protecting their children about sexual predators. And people need to know about improving their lives, encouraging life, love, and spiritual issues through my poetry. And that's why I wrote these books, to make their lives better. And people have contacted me and told me that my books have changed their lives. That is why I wrote them, to make people's lives better and to improve people's lives. So I know I need to put forth the effort, and I was convicted. And so I'm like, okay, it's time for me to properly promote these things.
Yes. And there you have it. If you've just tuned in, you're wondering what's going on in studio today. You know it's Wednesday because we have doctors in the house with myself and
Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
she's an MD. I am a PhD, which just stands for piled higher and deeper. And we are on the global show called Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, home to the Asian Oprah, streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, and of course, Home Central for all of my 1,179 shows now over the last 632 consecutive weeks is my YouTube TV channel. And we are talking about self-promotion. You say that like it's a bad thing. It is not a bad thing. And I just wanted to jump on the doctor part of it. Some people say you shouldn't introduce yourself as Dr. Marissa. It sounds like you're bragging. It sounds like you're putting yourself above other people. While I'm at it, I'm Dr. Marissa. I'm known as the Asian Oprah. You shouldn't be using that. You're big in your own right. You don't need to use Oprah's name in the introduction. And to all of you caring people who say that, let me tell you why I use Dr. Marissa, also known as Asian Oprah. One, Dr. Marissa, because I did do a doctorate and the requisite work to get that. I'm not going to be embarrassed about it. I also learned how to use that because when I worked in Europe, those cultures for women and a woman of color, if I went to Germany as I did and said, Ich bin Marissa, the level of attention to what I was going to say next was about this big. If I said, Ich bin Dr. Marissa, the attention went like this. And so as an organizational psychologist working with C-suite leaders, I had to. Then, as I branded my show, I am Dr. Marissa. And if you Google Dr. Marissa, you'll find me. So there's that branding aspect as well. Plus, Asian Oprah. I don't need to say I'm Asian Oprah. Absolutely not. I am happy and grateful for the level of my name, level of recognition now. But if I'm on the red carpet and I meet Halle Berry and I'm going to interview her, if I say, hi, Halle, my name's Dr. Marissa, and then launch into the questions, it's a good interview. But if I say, as I do, hi, I'm Dr. Marissa, they call me the Asian Oprah, there is a laugh and when I did that with, why do I always, there's two of them, night show hosts, and I always block, I don't know why, Fallon and Kimmel. So one of them, I got a soundbite from, and as soon as I said, I'm known as the Asian Oprah, he just like, it was a whole new, he was funny. He said, well, if you're the Asian Oprah, I am the Jewish Jerry Lewis. Oh no, Puerto Rican Jerry Lewis. So that's why I use Asian Oprah in my introduction. If I sound defensive, I'm really not, but I did want to explain that because people say it to me all the time. Plus, there is one side of not introducing myself as Dr. Marissa, because I don't know about you, Dr. Tiffanie. When you say you're a doctor, do you have people whip out their sores and their bruises and their, really not attractive parts of their body to see if you can fix it?
Yeah, they want medical. They want their free medical advice. Yes, they do.
So that is good reason not to say that. But final word for Dr. Tiffanie.
Final word. I have a quick poem from my book. So it's fighting fear with faith. I was riding with my daughter as she was driving, and God began to whisper to me. I stayed quiet and I listened to the Holy Spirit intensely. A message was being ministered to me. I heard that still small voice from within, the one that draws from your spiritual ear to Him, the one that makes you feel the warmth of His presence and love, the one that makes you hearken unto it because you know it's sent from above. We must fight fear with faith, resonated in my soul. We must do this if we want to be whole. Okay, Lord, so what does that mean? On Christ we must depend, on Him we must lean. All right, Lord, I believe that is what I already do. The Lord replied, not completely. So let me break it down to you. When you worry and feel in despair, I already told you, on me you can cast your cares. My yoke is easy and my burdens are light. When you trust in me completely, please know that everything will be all right. Come to my altar and leave your burdens there. Trust that I know that what you are going through. Trust that I am fully aware. I will address it in my time alone. As I work, I want you to hang out in the praise zone. Yes, Lord, I will exercise my faith. I will do my best. I will dwell in your spirit, for in you I will find rest. God is attracted to our praise in the midst of your problems. So let us praise him what we are going through and trust in him to solve them. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. After submitting problems to the Lord, we cannot let fear in between. Daily, we must fight fear with faith and know that the faith will always win. We must trust the abundance of God's love and know that he will always be there again and again. So no matter what you're going through, know that you will be just fine, and properly promote yourself as you climb.
Very nice. That was a poem from Dr. Tiffany's book, Flowetry, that you can get everywhere, Amazon for sure. And if you go to her website, drtiffanitate.com, that's with two F's and an IE instead of a Y. And you can get that book, and you get to hear her unique talent, gift, and ability here on Take My Advice. I'm not using a Get Balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show. I so love that you were with us today. Um, I am next week. We will be playing 3 weeks of our past wonderful shows as I'm in China, speaking and lecturing there, and um, Dr. Tiffany gets a well-deserved vacation as well. and we just love it. I don't see any actual comment.
All righty. Well, we are very thankful for you being here. I believe that Dr. Marissa is having a few technical difficulties, but we hope that you have learned how to properly promote yourself. And we ask that you put this information into effect. And we say that peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. And we just ask that you have a great day and a great week. Goodbye. Be blessed. We hope you enjoyed the show. And remember that you can get my books at Barnes & Nobles, as well as Amazon and Poetry. Little Engine Mia Sings, and Bad Touching. And Little Engine Mia Sings will also be available as an audiobook within the next month. So again, thank you for coming to the show. Bye-bye.